my name is Shay, and this is my boyfriend James.
Hello.
And you're listening to the JAAE Podcast. So, we noticed online there was a bit of a trend going around with content producers asking people for their hot takes. And a hot take is basically just a controversial opinion. And we thought it would be super fun if we gave each other our hot takes and then we reacted and discussed them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you start this off.
Okay. So instead of getting right into something super meaty, super controversial, I'll go with what Shay calls a mild take. I'll give you the credit for that. So, my first take is that dogs are the superior pet, especially in relation to cats. I say this because dogs are willing to be your companion. They're willing to play with you, cuddle you, just be able to show you their affection and attention anytime you want it. Whereas a lot of other pets are very selective about their attention and won't always cater to what you necessarily want or need at that given time.
Okay, so I don't see this as like a super hot take because I feel it's more of like an opinion based on like personality type. I definitely can see liking dogs more if you want a more like hyper energetic type of like love and reaction with your pet. With that being said, I feel like cats can still be very lovable. I know I have a very loving cat. So I feel like it makes it harder for me because I'm like, well, look at my cat. My cat is lovey and can poop inside. So beat that.
That is fair. But your cat, I think, is the only cat that I've seen be as affectionate as Salem is. So I'll give you credit for that. But generally speaking, I'm still going to hedge towards dogs.
Y'all need to love your cats more. Give your cats more cuddles when they're babies.
That's fair.
Yes.
Okay, we'll head to your take next.
Alright, so my mild hot take is that Nickelback is good. I never understood where all the hate came from. I don't see what's wrong with Nickelback. Huge part of my childhood. I just don't understand.
I can't disagree with you on that. So, taking back, when I hear the word Nickelback, I picture myself riding in the back of my dad's Chevy pickup truck on the way to football practice. Aww. And it's just a good feeling. So, although media does portray them as obnoxious or repetitive, I just don't see it. I see that their music still is good, and it just has that core memory for me. So, I'm going to agree with you there.
Yeah, you know you all want to sing Rockstar when it comes on. Every one of you, I know
it. Yes.
Okay, you're up next.
Okay, so this one feeds off into something that we talk about in our personal lives, especially recently. Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling you know what I'm going to talk about. Rap compared to EDM. I'm going to go ahead and say something very controversial to the music part of the world. I believe that anyone could become the most talented EDM music creator within the span of a month. That it is not necessarily difficult to create those sounds, especially when compared to other music. Being off of that, I know Shay's going to come and say, well, rap does not take talent. Anyone could do that too. But I really just think that EDM is not all that special.
Well, okay, let me first say I don't think anyone can rap. Nor do I think anyone can make an EDM song. I would say my argument is closer to I believe that rap is easier to produce than EDM music with no experience. So, I just feel like there's a lot that goes into EDM music that people who like aren't into it don't really realize. I have a friend who's going to school to make EDM music, and seeing him try to like level out the music so you can hear the bass well in a car versus on a speaker versus on a computer and all those different types of things definitely made me realize how much more intense that type of music is when you're like really trying to like push the limits to how much bass you can like play and have sound good. And I also just think like the ability to create a story without using lyrics and something that's actually going to interest an audience is like huge, you know. And I feel like rap, you know, is kind of an easier way to portray a story, and my thought process is just that, like, majority of people can talk to a beat, and a lot of big time rappers do have a bunch of other people on their team, like in the sidelines, helping produce the background tracks, helping to produce the lyrics, all those types of things that EDM artists, even big ones, don't usually have.
That's fair. Maybe I'm just going more of a selfish viewpoint. I know for a fact that I could never produce a rap song that anyone want to listen to, but I have the highest confidence that I could create a shadow name, release an EDM song on TikTok, and it could probably blow up.
I mean, if you did a good one, yeah.
I could go, and it'd be good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. My next one is, I consider it medium spicy. People get really mad when I say this, but I believe that Olive Garden is super overrated. The breadsticks are not that great. They're not that great. The salad's not that great. It reminds me of, like, just any salad at a chain restaurant. And then the pasta's just, like, regular pasta. Like, I don't know, just for the amount of hype it gets. If it got no hype, I wouldn't think anything of it. But people go crazy for Olive Garden, and I do not understand.
I was gonna take your side a little bit, because I know their pasta and entrees are not that special, but you're gonna bash the breadsticks? How dare you? Those breadsticks are buttery, delicious, warm, and soft. There's everything you want in a stick of bread.
Okay, but
their pasta's just reheated. I'll give you that. I will give you that. It's salad, but don't bash the breadsticks.
Is it any better than Texas Roadhouse rolls?
But it's completely different. This is a
no,
stick
it's
of
bread.
bread.
It's bread.
It's a Roadhouse versus a garden.
Can't argue with that, I guess.
Plus, they got the slogan, "When you're here, your family." And boy, those breadsticks make me feel like family.
What is this, an Olive Garden sponsorship?
It might as well be.
Okay.
Their pasta is kind of bad, though.
And it's expensive.
It is expensive. The only, all the time I'll go to Olive Garden is just for their lunch. So I will give you credit with that take.
And just to add on to that, it's like Chili's, in my eyes. Like, how much of a chain it is. It's like Chili's, but people, like, go there for homecoming and all these types of things. And it's literally like Chili's. Like, what's why? It's not that fancy.
It should not have a fancy food hype, but the breadsticks are delicious.
Yeah. I don't get it. Okay.
Okay, so now I think we've established kind of what a take is, how we're going to go about it. So I'm going to get into something a little more aggressive, something that different people in various parts of the country will have different viewpoints on. So, my hot take, my first actual hot take, is that sex ed needs to be more prominent in our school system. As someone who grew up in District 51, I have never had a sex ed class. I had my first sex ed introduction when I was 19 years old at a college in Denver. I should not have been learning the basics of sex when I was 19. Luckily enough, I had my parents who did a good job with that, but not everyone does. So I think it's crucial that even at the middle school level, we introduce sex ed once again, even though some people will see it scary and kind of an area that's not pleasant to talk about. It is important.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with this one. A big reason is because sex ed doesn't only include sex, it includes anatomy, self-care, all those very important things. Even just understanding your body and knowing that what is natural and what is not, and what you might need to go see a doctor for, and what's just, stuff you see on the internet. That kind of stuff should be taught to us in an educational, way. And, also, sex is extremely important. I think it is absolutely ignorant to deny the fact that it happens, because that's where everybody comes from. So the fact that we try to keep teenagers, who I think everybody is completely aware of the fact that figure out what sex is before they leave, high school, it's very ignorant to not provide them that information, because we think we are sparing them, because all we're doing is letting them try to figure it out on their own using a lot of different unreliable sources, and it creates a lot of room for error and incidents and misinformation to to happen.
Mm-hmm. Just my final statement on that before we get into the next take is that a lot of people within the high school area will get their knowledge of intimacy through online media that isn't necessarily realistic and can influence them in negative ways. So if it was done the right way with the right instructor and had a balance of actual education setting compared to the real world, it would be much better understood, and there would be a lot less issues regarding sexual intimacy and just boundaries and consent as a whole.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Okay, next hot take. I believe that traditional marriage in America is so weird and completely misogynistic.
I don't disagree. I just love that.
Well, okay. So, first off, last names is kind of a given. Having to take the male partner's last name, there's no really definitive reason for why that is in modern society. It's just something that's happened from tradition. So, I don't really necessarily agree with that. I think that having to ask for the parents' permission is weird. I don't think you're property of your parents, and so therefore they are not the ones who get to decide or not decide who you marry, at least not, in America. So I don't understand the whole tradition behind that, as well as your father walking you down the aisle. I don't necessarily agree with either. The purpose and the meaning behind it is that the father's handing off the daughter to the husband. And I just really feel like that enforces the ideas of women as property. It's like olden days, let me give you a sheep so you can do more labor on my farm. Well, why are we handing a human being away? So.
I agree. I think that traditional marriage still is outdated. I think that the concept of giving away, like you said, as if a woman was property is definitely wrong in today's society. I think we would advance past that. I really hope we have. In addition to that, I also think it's kind of weird that the concept of love has to be seen by a government source. I think it should just be natural, and I know you're going more on the traditional aspect, like what the customs are of marriage, but I also find the government involvement with two people to be a little strange as well.
Cool. Do you want to do the last one?
Absolutely. So, I think that the best way to unify people within the United States, at least, not necessarily worldwide, is through sports. And I know we are going to disagree on that, but I see a world where sports can unite tons of people, whether it be through watching a competitive match, seeing an athlete pass away. There's various situations in which the world comes together all because of something as simple as a ball being passed around. And even if we go back to ancient times, this has always existed through the ancient Olympics and everything. It's just a way for people to come together and actually root for a common goal.
I don't know. I feel like music definitely unites people more. Not everybody is interested in sports, but it is very, very rare to find somebody who just does not care about music in the slightest and doesn't have a single type of music that they kind of care about or relate to. And I don't know, I just feel like the value people put in music is much greater than sports sometimes, except for people who are really into sports, versus on a wide scale looking at the population as a whole, how much people care about certain things. I'd say music is something that more people can relate to across the board than sports. Do you not agree?
I don't. I see, in comparison of music groups compared to athletics, even at a young age, there's more children all the way through college really who participate in athletics and sports compared to the music industry. So
yeah, but you're saying unites people, which would mean in a selected divided sports group, they're united together. That's a group of 20 people, or if you're talking large scale NFL, thousands of people. But music is going to be across the board. That's a lot greater. I feel that.
I see your point, but you also have to understand that not everyone's going to like a certain artist, so.
Yeah, I'm not saying a specific artist. I'm just saying music in general. Like a genre, or... I mean, I guess that's similar.
I think, in a weird way, we both found two different topics that kind of do unite people. And they don't necessarily have to be about something as serious about politics. So the fact that there are those interests, whether it be sports or music, is good.
Yeah.
And kind of going back on our conversation before, I do think that there should be a bigger representation of both throughout people's childhood and growing up, whether it be music or sports, just knowing they have that outlet to find their core group of people.
Yeah. Definitely agree with that.
Do you have any more topics?
No, I think that's it for today.
All right, go sports. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.